told you we were going to be watching Minneapolis, and we have some new information. Department of Homeland Security sources telling Fox News the ICE agent who was hit by Renee Nicole Good's car suffered internal bleeding in his torso. That is the same Immigration and Customs Enforcement agent who was seriously wounded last June when he was dragged by a car during a attempted arrest. Yeah, a car rammed him and then dragged him. And by the way, there was street camera footage of some of that. The CBS local station, WCCO, covered that story last June extensively. We'll keep you posted on the situation as we get new information. Meanwhile, there's this. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, you know him, he cusses a lot, joined Fox and Friends this morning and said he stands by his original comment saying that ICE should get out of his city.
In hindsight, Mr. Mayor, was that the appropriate response?
I stand by exactly what I said, and to be clear, what I was responding to was an immediate conclusion that had been drawn by the federal government where they said, one, the ICE agent was acting in self-defense, and then shortly thereafter saying that the victim was a domestic terrorist. We need to be doing everything possible right now to have a full and fair investigation, and my deep concern is when the conclusion is drawn by the government that's actually doing the investigation itself, it's much harder to trust the investigation. We need to make sure that the American people can earn and gain that trust.
Do you think he studied before he said all that? Anyway, a CNN segment from 2016 is now viral. It's called A Day with ICE in the Sanctuary City of Chicago. CNN was not criticizing the agency. Instead, it touted exclusive access to the ride-alongs on several ICE raids.
Under the cloak of darkness in Chicago,
Tack one, guys.
An Immigration and Customs Enforcement team gears up for another long day, pursuing undocumented immigrants who have been convicted of crimes in the U.S. ICE agents mistakenly arrest the target's brother.
In the process of talking to him in the vehicle, he then said, oh, no, I'm actually so-and-so. Who you're looking for is over here, this other address. He led us to that address, and we were able to actually arrest the individual.
Do you have evidence, right, that he's using a fake identity, or?
That is correct. We believe he's been using a U.S. citizen's identity to live and work. He has an Illinois driver's license. Third target, he has an unauthorized use of a weapon, which was a firearm. He has a couple DUIs. He is a criminal. He has an extensive criminal history. And by taking him out of the community, it's making the community safer. And that's ICE's purpose, is to focus on criminals and community safety by taking these recidivist criminals out of our communities.
Well, as a journalist, I saw you really leaning in there. What are you? What's going through your
curious.
mind?
Yeah, I mean, like the game's changed, right? The language changed, the positions have changed. I think we've learned a lot about Minneapolis over the past 5 years, going back to George Floyd. And one thing that I learned about its police department, based on its population, I wonder if they're understaffed or
100%,
like less than full civil support. Minneapolis has a population of 428,000. They have 600 sworn officers. Oakland, California has relatively the same amount population-wise. They have 700. Wichita, Kansas, 650. Tulsa, Oklahoma, 800. New Orleans, fewer people, 1,000 cops. Miami, Florida, about the same, 2,000 cops. Now, you could argue that New Orleans and Miami have a lot more civic events that come to their city. Maybe they need that, but that was just something I was very curious to learn earlier today. I think the other thing that we need to wise up to is what ICE Watch is all about. And I don't think we've got a firm grasp on that just yet for Minneapolis. And the reason we need to understand it is because ICE is coming to New York, and they're going to be in the 5 boroughs. They're going to be in Nassau County. They're going to be in Suffolk County. And a lot of what we're watching in Minnesota is coming to the city. We need to understand what's happening. And if you think the protests on the streets of Minneapolis are something else, wait till you see what happens here in Gotham City. On Sunday afternoon, fairly mild day for the winter, on Fifth Avenue, you had thousands, maybe tens of thousands of people in a very peaceful civil protest walking down Fifth Avenue. That's just a small sliver of what's to come in New York very soon. And I would dare predict that it's only weeks away.
All right, we don't have time for me to go through this. I did it on the Faulkner Focus, but Emily, the manual. The instruction manual for the protesters. How to ram a car, how to keep a low center of gravity and push up toward the face of somebody with explosive power who's an ICE agent to knock that officer off a suspect. Those details and how to do this. The New York Post reviewed an Instagram post last June by Minnesota ICE Watch. Those are the things. And look at how long that list is.
It reminds me of, not that I've seen one personally, but a guerrilla tactical playbook. It's about how to assault, how to engage in felonious behavior. But interestingly, in all of that training, I didn't see a primer on American law, which is what got an individual into trouble a couple days ago. My prayers are with that ICE agent. I hope he's recovering from his internal injuries. The fact that he got back, by the way, into service after being injured the first time speaks to the tenor and the commitment and the dedication of these brave men and women that are in uniform every day, despite having for them to undergo training of daily assaults in addition to executions of warrants and targeted searches and arrests of recidivists, homicidal maniacs and sodomists and child rapists and worse. When ICE comes to this city, to this borough, I will thank them and pave the way for them. I am so grateful that they have my best interests at heart, and it is shameful that CNN and other mainstream medias not only have forgotten what happened in 2016 when they dared to semi-objectively cover them, but also what we saw their knee-jerk reaction was in the wake of what happened after that person was shot. Right. The headlines that flooded my inbox were jumping to legal and cultural conclusions that are patently unacceptable and, most importantly, totally wrong. And it also came out of the mouth of that mayor who doubled down on our network today. I'm grateful he came on our network, but it goes to show that he underscored his comments. He's not walking back from jumping to conclusions and leading the radical rhetorical effort. That is why people think they can get in their cars and get away with doing horrific things and thinking it's no big deal on their way to get milk from the store. It is, and he's the problem.
Well, look, it's monetized and organized.
Yes.
Complete with instructions.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.